Coach, there's a fourth problem that we see in a lot of hitters is lack of body control in a different way than what the overstride would call. The overstride takes the weight forward a lot of times toward the pitcher, and so you're not in a position in which you can explode with power and with control. Hitters sometimes, though, have their weight out of control and their body out of control in a different direction. As you watch Shannon here, you'll see that a lot of times her weight is on her heels. She's out of control away from the plate. She's trying to hit the ball that's out in front of her toward the plate, and yet a lot of times her weight is back toward the third base dugout. She's kind of falling back away from the plate. This is also a lack of body control. You get body control by being balanced both forward and backward. You got to be right where you could kind of jump or leap or reach down and field a ground ball, and you'll notice that Shannon gets her weight sometimes on her heels. There are a number of causes for that, and we're going to stop just a minute. Let's hold on just a minute. Let me talk to Shannon here a second. Shannon, as you're swinging, one of the most important things, and we've been telling a lot of people this, that when you hit, one of the really important things is that you have control of your body. Does that make sense? Okay. We said that you had to have control of your body so that you can explode with it. I mean, if you don't have control of your body, you can't really go with something with power and force. You couldn't jump up real high if your body was out of control. So when you get through stepping, that stride, your stance, you were pretty well balanced and in control. But when you stepped, your weight was kind of falling which way?
Backwards.
Backward. Could you feel that a little bit? You felt like you were going back that way. Now, if the ball was outside, you kind of went into it and you kept your weight fairly good. But anything from the middle and back, you were back on your heels. Now, that doesn't make much sense. If you think about it, if I was going to hit you, would I want to come toward you or fall away from you? I'd want to come towards you, wouldn't I? Well, if the ball's going to be right out here and you're going to hit it, you don't want your weight going that way, do you? I mean, that just wouldn't, you wouldn't hit the ball very hard that way.
No.
So you want your weight in here. You want to stay in here toward the plate rather than back here, because what you're trying to hit is right out here. There's several things that can cause that. One is when you step on this foot, if you land back on this heel instead of landing right here. Like if you stepped and you landed on that heel, if your weight's on that heel, which way are you going?
Backward.
You're going backward. And so that would take your weight out of control away from the ball. Sometimes you may land correctly on that foot, but it may be what we call opened. You may have it like that. Well, see, if you take that foot, and you can start doing this a minute, take that foot and kind of turn it. Where's it taking your body? Backwards. It's taking your body back this way. So if you land with your foot opened up, it also makes you go back away from the plate. Another cause, and we're kind of like a doctor here and you're my patient, okay, if that's all right with you. I didn't even ask you if you were coming to my doctor's office, but kind of what we're doing is looking for what might be causing this. And then in a few minutes we're going to show you some drills to try to make it better, like medicine, okay, for an illness, or if you want to call it that. And one of the other problems sometimes, Shannon, that causes this is your eyes. You know, we're talking about your feet and your weight down there, but sometimes the top of your body causes the bottom of your body to have a problem. Sometimes the bottom of your body can cause the top of your body to have a problem. Like when you get on your heels, it takes your eyes away from the ball. But if you take your eyes off the ball, it takes your weight off the ball also. Take your eyes just a minute and pull them around this way instead of being out where the ball is. Now, where does it feel like your body's going? Backwards. And see, what's happening is that your body is out of control back this way, and you want your body in control to do something right out here with a lot of force. That's hit the ball. And if your weight goes back this way because of landing on your heel or opening up your foot or taking your eyes off the ball, it causes your body to be out of control. Now, what we need to do, since that's a very important thing to work on, you've got to have body control. You can't be a good hitter without body control unless you've got a lot of strength, and then you still can't be as good as you ought to be. So what we want to do is go over here on the side with some tees and some things like that and work on some drills to help you correct these problems, okay? Let's walk over here and we'll work on those. Hey, what we want to do first, Shannon, is work on your stride. One of the things that we talked about is how when you step, sometimes people step and with their foot, instead of it being straight, they kind of what we call open it up. And when you open that foot, it can pull you back away from the plate, and you want to be careful with that. So one of the ways that we want to work on it is take your stance, 5 or 6 inches from this fence. And what we want you to do is try to step so that your foot lands straight instead of opened. You weren't too bad about that, but just to show some other people how that works. All right? That's a closed stride is what we call that. Your front foot is closed, and that's the way we want that. Do that again. All right, so it wants to run parallel to that fence. Now we could do this with a batting tee, we could draw a line in the dirt or anything like that, but when you step, you want your foot to be basically closed. Coaches, it can be slightly open, and that's not bad, but we've talked to Shannon about it in a way that overemphasizes it a little bit. We teach her to stride with a closed foot. Then if she makes a little bit of a mistake and it's open slightly, that's fine. But younger players, if you talk to them and work with them on a slightly opened front step, front foot, you end up a lot of times with a wide open front foot. When they make a mistake, it's too open. And when that front foot is open, you're pulling the body and the weight away from the plate where the ball is. And so your body again ends up out of control, backward away from the plate. So that front foot is important in how it lands on that stride, and that's what we've worked with Shannon here on. Again, you can use a wall or a fence or lines or tees or bases or whatever for your barrier or for whatever's going to kind of give you that feedback as to whether your foot is basically closed or wide open. Now, Shannon was having trouble, so we're going to take her up here to the tee a minute, and we're using a multi-tee, kind of a double tee situation. We've got one stem set out farther in front of the plate than the other stem. This tee or this stem is for an inside pitch, which you hit out in front of the plate to get the bat angle around so that the fat part of the bat hits the ball. The other stem is basically for an outside pitch. You have a tendency to keep your weight in toward the plate more on an outside pitch, and you have a tendency to pull away from the inside pitch. Your weight should stay in toward the plate on both of those. And so we're going to have Shannon working on this multi-tee drill where we have her hit either the inside pitch or the outside pitch, and she's not going to know which one we're going to call. We're going to first of all just start off with her taking her stride, let her get on out there and be set for a minute like we did Mika a while ago, and just tell her to hit from that point. Then she's going to feel her weight either pulling away or going toward the plate. We're creating that awareness, that conscious incompetence that we talked about earlier in the levels of learning, so that Shannon can feel where her weight is. Then we're going to adjust it to where she has to hit without knowing until she starts the process whether it's going to be inside or outside. So Shannon, we're just going to have you take a stance, and I'll say stance, then we'll say stride, and then we'll wait just a couple of seconds, and then we'll say inside or outside. And you go ahead and blast away and just kind of be in your own mind figuring out where your weight is. You're going to step the same place every time. All right, here we go. All right, stance, stride, inside. All right, good. Now, where did your weight feel? In frontward. It felt toward the plate. That's great. That's the sensation we're trying to get you to do because you had trouble pulling away from the plate. All right, stance, stride, outside. All right, good. And you can feel where your weight is now. You're becoming conscious of that. Whether it's right or wrong, you can feel it. All right, stance, stride, inside. All right, good. You feel like you were falling back a little bit just then? And so you had that tendency to fall away from the plate. The ball's out here, and you were going back there. That's like me hitting you falling backwards again. We want your weight to be in this way. All right, stance, stride, outside. All right, now where does your weight feel? Forward. It feels forward, and that's the way you want it to be, whether the pitch is inside, down the middle, or outside. All right, now, coaches, she's getting that idea. She's not ready yet. We're just trying to show you how we work with a player, and this would take some time. She's working at it tremendously well. She's really applying herself and working at it, and she's getting that sensation. She'd have to do this a lot of times to get past conscious competence, okay, to unconscious competence, as we talked about earlier in the tape. Now we're going to have Shannon do this without knowing. We're not going to say stance, stride, hit. As she starts the stride, I'm going to say inside or outside, and she's got to adjust along the way. This will be tougher, okay? Hit. I mixed her up. My fault. Let's try that again. All right, inside or outside is what I want to say. All right, here we go. Inside. All right, where do you feel like you were going? Back, okay? That's why she's working at this, so she can get it corrected. All right, here we go. Outside. All right, now your weight stayed forward, and you want that same sensation no matter where the ball is. Let's try that again. Good job. Inside. All right, a little bit on the heel, right? You know it. You see her smile, she can tell where that weight is. A while ago, she had no idea where her weight was. So we've created conscious incompetence. She's aware of her problem, and she's working at it. And the way she works, she'll get better, I can guarantee you. Here we go. Outside. All right, a lot better. Let's try that again. Outside. All right, good. A little tentative that time. She's reaching and feeling, but she's learning. She's learning. 2 more times. Here we go. Inside. All right, that's okay. Let's try it again. Outside. All right, very good, very good. Now, what we've done, Shannon, is create in you. We've let you become aware of the fact of where your weight is. One of the things that's very important, coaches, you need to remember this. We've stressed it over and over, and I'm going to say it again. Body control. Once you take that stride, you got to be right. You can be wrong in the stance if you can correct it by the time your front foot comes down. When her front foot was coming down earlier, her body was out of control, backward away from the plate. What we're trying to do is let her become aware of that. We're creating that awareness and then letting her work on keeping that weight in here where the ball is, so that when she hits the ball, she's using her body. And we've done some drills to help you with that. Now, you'd have to do it a lot of times to get where you do it right, okay? A few times won't work. It's not a fast food thing. It's not a hamburger bang in 46 seconds, okay? It takes a while to do these things. But you've shown you'll work at that, and you need to keep working at that. Now, the weight needs to stay in, and we talked about the fact that the foot has something to do with that. But we also talked about earlier that sometimes these eyes carry you away from the plate. If you take those eyes and you pull them up off the ball, it has a tendency to take your body back away from the plate. So I want to do some drills with you with eyes, okay? So we work on eye control as well as body control. You got to have both of those. I'm going to use a different tee for that, and I'm just going to have you hit a few balls into the fence to start with, okay? So I'm just going to put this tee up and just let you pound away for a minute, okay? You just hit. All right, where'd that ball hit on the fence? Up there, didn't it? Okay, way up there, didn't it? Okay, let's try that a few more times. All right, where'd that ball hit?
Up there.
Up there, all right, show me where it hit. You almost can't reach that, can you, all right? Right about here, didn't it? Okay, let's try that again. All right. All right, where'd that one hit? Down low. Okay, watch the ball. All right, where'd that one hit? Right there, didn't it? All right, now, I've played a little trick on Shannon, coaches. I've asked her 4 times where the ball hit on that fence, and she knew every time where the ball hit on the fence. Now, you tell me, Shannon, how far is it from this tee to that fence? About how far? Feet? 2 or 10? About 10 feet, right? Now, when you hit the ball 10 feet, does it take long to go there? Doesn't take long, does it? All right, you hit the ball 10 feet, and yet you were able to tell me where it hit on that fence every time, weren't you? That means that as soon as you hit the ball, where did you start looking? Out, toward the fence, right? Now, when you hit a ball, your head ought to be down to see yourself hit that ball, shouldn't it? You ought to watch the ball as long as you can. What you think you're doing is watching the ball being hit and then looking up. What you're really doing is looking up before you hit the ball, because it doesn't take long to go from this tee to that fence, 10 feet. And for you to be able to change your eyes to see it hit there, you can't do it that quick. In other words, what you're doing is taking your eye off the ball too soon. You need to keep your eye on the ball longer. You shouldn't see where it hits that fence. It means you're looking up too soon. If you look up too soon, your eyes are out of control and your body's out of control. Now, what I want you to do is what we've done here is on this tee, we've got one here that's got kind of a solid stem, and so we've got right here where we've painted a smiley face. Can you see that? All right, what I want you to do now, and coaches, you could do it in a different way, and we'll show you a couple of ways to do this. When you hit the ball this time, instead of seeing where it hits, I want you to see that smiley face. So you want to see where the ball was after you hit it. You want to be looking at the spot it was in when you hit it. In other words, keep your eyes on the ball longer, okay? So now you're going to hit the ball, but be looking here when you finish instead of out there. All right. All right. All right. All right. Keep that head down just like that. Very good. Very good. Now, if you'll notice, you may not realize it, but you hit about 4, maybe 5 out of 6 hard then. Before you hit 1 out of 4 decent. You were keeping your head down, watching the ball better that time. Before you were looking up toward the fence, those times you were keeping your head down. Now I'm going to do it a different way, because sometimes you have tees that don't have a solid stem like this where you can paint some kind of smiley face. Coaches, what I'm going to do is use some tokens that I've got from my daughter's game and our coins, whichever one you want to use. I've got some different colored tokens that I'm going to use today. We've got like some red and white and blue tokens. And so now, instead of looking at that stem, when you hit this ball, I'm going to toss a token down here on the ground. And you tell me what color is down there. That means that if you look up, you're not going to see the token, okay? So let's try that. All right, good. Shannon working on keeping her head down. That makes her keep her eyes on the ball. All right, very good job. And if you notice, thankfully, Shannon's hitting the ball real hard right here. That may not happen, coaches, okay? We're not working on how hard she hits the ball. We're working on correcting a visual problem, loss of eye control or lack of eye control, and that's what we're praising. She's done it great the last 2 times. If she had knocked a tee over, I still would have praised her. Good job. Let's try it again. Okay, very good. Now, what you saw, coaches, was Shannon working at correcting a problem with body and or eye control. And she did that by keeping her eyes under control. That also allows her to keep her body under control. We want to compliment Shannon on how well she worked at this. You can tell that Shannon's going to correct this problem because she's committed to working hard at it. Now, she'll have to go do these drills a lot of times. I believe she'll do that, and she'll become a lot better hitter because she'll have control of her body and her eyes. Good job, Shannon.